people say to me, what are you? Are you a politician? Are you a TV presenter? Are you a radio? I'm just a campaigner.
Yeah.
I'm a campaigner. I try to get things changed through campaigns. And, you know, without being too big-headed, I think my record's better than most.
Yeah, 100%.
China, so bad. I can promise you, you know, I've been up close with, you know, the Nick Cleggs and the Camerons and all of these people over the years, and they actually don't like people, because the biggest divide in Britain that no one talks about isn't about sexual preference. It isn't about race. It's about class.
Welcome to another round of Your Round podcast with me, John Levin, Gavin Dalton, and the legend Nigel Farage, who's joined us here, which is weird because you're normally interviewed by clever, intelligent people, so we thought we'd mix it up a bit.
Well, I've got a head start today then, haven't I?
Oh, that's people are used to like politics and stuff like that.
See, this is the great thing. I'm a great believer in this, boys. Never begin with an apology.
Yeah, yeah.
Never begin any speech, any act with an apology. So I've got one over on you before we even start.
Well, I always think, though, you go on them programmes and they normally get 6 people who don't agree with you and they just send you on there, don't they, like a lamb, just to argue with everyone. I always find, and it makes for a dead weird viewing, isn't it? Because a lot of people want to hear what you've got to say.
Question Time was the really big one for me. You know, that was, I mean, less so now, but 25 years ago when I first started appearing, Question Time was the agenda-setting programme of the week. And I'd go on and the levels of hostility. I mean, you think I was King Herod or a paedophile, or I mean the whole thing was like, and you'd have the other 4 panel members would hate me. Dimbleby would sort of look at me with disdain. The audience would go, boo. And the difficult bit was getting your own point of view across. But I learned as the years went on, audience members would start saying things like, I never thought I'd say this, but I agree with Nigel Farage. It's like I'm coming out. You know? So do you know what? And I'd say this to everybody. If you believe in something, never be afraid to be in a minority.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, the Bible tells us, unto thine own self be true. And I'm not particularly God squad, but I do think we should be less afraid of saying what we think, less afraid of not going with the crowd. And one of the horrible things in the last few years, with the growth of the whole woke movement and everything else, is almost like no alternative view allowed. You know, we must all think exactly the same way, and that's wrong.
Yeah.
Because human beings don't think the same way.
Yeah. It's an opinion, isn't it?
It's an opinion, and I tell you, it makes me laugh. I mean, you know, my granny, God bless her, always used to say, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words may... Now, I'm going back 50 years. But now, anything we say, people start hyperventilating or whatever. But I think, guys, the pendulum is swinging back.
Yeah, yeah.
I think we're beginning to get more common sense, more debate. We've reached peak trans.
Yeah, yeah.
And I genuinely believe we have that. You know, that is now going the other way. Yeah, you know, the idea that somebody who was a bloke who's 6'3" and built like built like a prop forward should win a swimming contest against women. Yeah. I think it's all coming back the other way.
Well, we do the sketches and we do a few, and people think it's real because we've gone that, like, that's how weird it's gone. We did, like, we want Manchester changed from Manchester because it's got man in it to Theychester. And people thought it was real. Millions of people commenting and things like that.
Well, nothing would be surprising.
That's what I mean. So that's how far it went, where people are starting to think like the sketches and that are real just because.
Do you know, all through history, the only people that rewrite history and rename things and rebrand things are tyrants.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, they all do it, whether it's communist Russia or Nazi Germany or whatever. And we've allowed this mob, this minority mob, to dictate to us. Yeah. And people stand up, you know, gosh, I'm going to offend people. No, I tell you what, guys, I'm optimistic. I think we're moving now in the right direction, slowly but surely.
I think it's that small minority as well who are genuinely upset about some of the comments. The general public, a lot of them couldn't care less.
A few voices make everyone think that way, don't they?
Oh, look, you know, I mean, most people, look, come on. Most people have got a mortgage, a job, and 2.4 kids and a dog. You know, I mean, they're busy living their lives. Yeah. They're not interested in any of this bloody rubbish. Broadcasting, of course, I mean, you know, the BBC, others play a very important role in all of this, and they've helped create this environment in which we can't have a free conversation. But no, most people either don't care or look at what's happening with incredulity, because I still think there's a clear majority for common sense out there.
And it's cathartic as well, people not agreeing, having that argument, having that conversation. You know, it might be divisive, but it's cathartic. You understand where people are. I mean, just shunning people because of their opinion.
I learned my art. I learned my art in the pub. You know, I mean, you know, when we used to have pubs, because well, they're now all restaurants. But you know, you go to the pub at 6 o'clock, and you'd have a chat about, you know, with a group of blokes. It was always blokes in those days, right or wrong, but it was always blokes in those days. And you might give an opinion, and someone says, "Well, hang on a second. Have you thought of it this way?" And you go, "Oh, that's really interesting. I've changed my mind." But even if you didn't change your mind, the fact you could disagree.
It's like on the rugby bus, isn't it? Like when we used to play rugby and stuff, you'd have 30 different opinions, but you don't hate him for the rest of your life because he has a different opinion. You just, like you say, you just chat it out.
I remember in my local pub, these two old boys, I'm going back 40 years, a bit more, Ed and Ted. Ted was so right-wing, he was off the Richter scale. And Ed was a communist who'd been dishonourably discharged of the British Army in 1945. So these two guys, miles apart, they'd meet for a beer. After a few pints, it was, "You silly old bastard, I'm never going to speak to you again." And one of them would storm out. I used to watch this show going on in the pub. And the next day they come in and have a drink together. And I said to them once, how do you socialise when you disagree so much? And one of them said to me, "Oh, no, you don't get it, Sonny. We fought for this. We fought for the right to have debate. We fought for the right, our generation, to disagree." And I tell you what, that really, looking back on it, makes me really think.
How tough was it in the jungle? Because that was another time where, like, I felt like a lot of people had different opinions from you. I know you're getting paid really well for it, so I know that's...
But that was the deal.
Oh, that's what I mean.
Do you know, they've been asking me, John, to do the jungle since 2016. Almost every year they'd approach me. And I'd always thought, I don't know, is it a bit demeaning? Is it for people whose careers are going down, not up? And so I thought about the offer. And then when they called me, not long before the programme, that was the interesting bit. I thought, hang on, they're a bit desperate. They haven't got any big names. I like this. You know, being in demand's good. So yeah, I negotiated a fantastic deal. Really good deal. But very interesting. So you go into that. I was the only person there from the world of current affairs, media, politics. The rest were, you know, JLS singers, EastEnders actresses, whatever they were. And most of them with a very sort of politically correct view of the world because of their backgrounds. And I knew people would disagree. I knew people would argue. And you know what? With sweet reason. I didn't really have any problems. I didn't get riled by anything that was said to me. And do you know what? Overall, I quite enjoyed it.
What about Fred? Because a couple of times with Fred, I just thought he was one of them people that loved putting his point across, but wasn't really listening to what was coming back.
No, the French don't tend to. I mean, he's so French. I'm probably so English.
Yeah.
You know, but he's so French, he's unbelievable. No, I mean, he was an absolute Ramona, listens to James O'Brien. I mean, God help us, on LBC. I mean, Fred was... But again, the funny thing was, working together, practically, you know, getting the fire right, doing the cooking, getting the food ready. And I was always in charge of, you know, whether it was gutting wild birds or filleting fish or doing all the practical stuff, which I can do.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a country boy. I'm a big outdoorsman. I shoot, I fish, I do all those things. So we worked together really, really well. When it came to debate, no, I mean, I have to confess, that was a failure. I never got Fred to accept that there might be anything in my opinions. But, you know, generally, it was funny because I worked it out. Over half the camp were younger than my oldest kids.
Yeah, yeah.
So I really was the old man. It's a funny thing, guys. It'll get to you. You suddenly wake up one day and you're old.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like that now.
I don't feel old, but it's just the reality. And I was like, at the end of the 3 weeks, I was like Uncle Nigel. They were coming up and confessing their problems. And do you know what? The jungle was an amazing experience, and I don't regret it for a minute.
Would you ever do any other type of reality or anything? Now you've done one show. Do you think there's anything else you think, I would have a go?
Well, I had done, in the past, I had done Gogglebox. Do you remember,
yeah.
Oh, well.
do you remember that posh couple down in Sandwich?
I do remember,
Right,
yeah.
Steph and Dom. Well, I did an evening with Steph and Dom, which I thought was career-ending because I went down the pub with Dom while Steph was getting the food ready, and I probably overtrained a bit. We got back to the house, and I spilt a whole glass of red wine all down me on telly. And I thought, this is catastrophe, but everyone thought it was terribly funny. So I'd done that. I'd done the Hairy Bikers Ride Again.
Yeah.
Way back, years and years ago. So I've done a couple of things like that. What I haven't done is Big Brother.
Yeah.
But, you know, the idea of being locked up inside
like
a house,
Yeah.
that doesn't really appeal to me. Whereas what we were doing in the jungle was having to work together. You had to work together to cook. You had to work together to get the water. You had to work together to get points, to get more than just rice and beans as rations. So the next one I'll do will be
the X Factor or something like that. Because you did a bit of singing in the jungle, didn't you?
Yeah, no, I did. Well, I did a bit of singing, show my arse off, that sort of thing. I'm not sure. I mean, isn't it funny? Just showed my arse off, got sort of national media attention. I mean, some of the letters I've got are very odd.
Well, that's I said to him, out of all the people who do the shows with, the person who gets the most female attention is you. Footballers, strongmen, things like that. Nigel, you're a bit of like a magnet to women, aren't you?
Goodness knows why. It shows some of them must be very stupid. I've no idea. But no, after that, I really did.
Yeah.
I don't know what... do you know what? I think with that segment of women, with me, I think it's just being what you are.
Yeah.
Because what is the biggest fear women have of men? Can I trust them?
Yeah.
Can I trust the bloke? Is he what he seems to be? And I am absolutely what I seem to be. You love me or hate me, but I never, you know, you've known me years.
Oh, that's what I mean.
I never change. No, I am what I am.
I think you can say that, Nigel, as well, with the dedication to obviously coming out in the EU. You know, like you say, it was that steadfast belief, and you've kind of maintained that for decades to do that. So yeah, it's kind of your heart on your sleeve.
I was never in politics for a career. I literally was never, ever in it. I had a great career, which I gave up to do the political stuff. It's about belief. And you know, I'm a great campaigner. Yeah. Well, if I set myself, I'm a great campaigner.
A lot of the times I've always said to you, haven't I, you know, some of the opinions, I'm not sure sometimes. I don't know. But one
What are you, a snowflake?
Yeah, well, yes, sometimes, yeah, it depends. But I'm not. To be honest, I agree with most of what you say, and the reason I can do that, the point being, is you get to the point. When you're asked a question, you answer the question, which I think is really refreshing in this day and age. Because if we were to ask the current PM or anybody else,
Rishi Sunak, are you listening?
Yeah, you don't.
People ask questions. You're supposed to give an answer.
Absolutely,
waste of my time.
It's refreshing.
Yeah, because you've had a job as well. I think having a normal job before going into a lot of these politicians go straight into it. They've got no life experience.
So much of it is this Oxford, Cambridge University.
Yeah.
You know, you leave at 2021. You're in a research office. Politics is your life. And I've done loads of stuff.
You need life experience.
Yeah, but I've done loads of stuff before politics. And I still, you know, I mean, I still do loads of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm involved with loads of things.
But you're around normal people and that as well, aren't you? Like, you're not one of these people that's not accessible or anything like that. And
do you know, I can promise you, you know, I've been up close with, you know, the Nick Cleggs and the Camerons and all of these people over the years, and they actually don't like people.
No. You can tell that though when they're on.
It's really odd. I love people.
Yeah.
I love going to the pub or doing normal stuff, or what we're going to do later this evening. So I'm not scared of any of that. I mean, the odd thing is that I'm the odd one out these days.
The trained slate, I've seen them. The trained slate you for doing that, for saying, "Look at me, I'm a normal guy. I'm having a pint." And you think, well, he genuinely obviously just likes a pint. He likes people, like you say.
I mean, there's never been a cartoon of me.
But look how disingenuous it was when Rishi tried to do the same thing
with trainers.
And did he go in with the trainers? But when he went into that garage,
he didn't know how to tap. He'd never done it.
Oh wow!
He'd never done it. I mean, look, we're in a funny old place. The Western world's in a funny old place. Yeah. Weak leadership, and our enemies, by which I mean China, or as my American friend from Mar-a-Lago would say, China. China, so bad. I love it. China, it's so good. It's so great. But our enemies must be looking at us and laughing at us.
Yeah.
As we tear ourselves to pieces over issues that are frankly irrelevant. I mean, look, do you know what? When I was leader of UKIP, talk about tolerant. We had a transsexual who was a mayor of a town. We had one who was an MEP. I couldn't care less.
No.
I literally couldn't care less. Let people be what they are. As long as they're honest and decent, I really couldn't care less. But don't teach 5-year-olds
that
this is an alternative lifestyle and confuse kids and all the rest of it. And I think this is where we really are. The idea that we're intolerant because we don't think that's acceptable is utter rubbish. We should be protecting children. We should be protecting women's rights.
Yeah.
And I mentioned the sport thing a bit earlier. I think common sense is returning.
It is. I think more people are getting more voices like yourself and other people.
Yeah.
I think more people are a bit like, that's how I think, but afraid to say it because they're going to get attacked online.
I mean, the race thing's even worse. I mean, the idea that we should give people jobs according to how suntan they are or colour of their skin. I mean, the whole thing's nonsense.
Well, that is racism in itself, isn't it?
Absolute. I've got a guy. It's a guy that is my producer at GB News, Aaron. He's half Indian. I mean, I'm darker than he is.
Yeah.
Because I spent my life outside. I mean, it's nonsense. And it upsets me because, I do think Martin Luther King was possibly the best public speaker of the 20th century. He was so good when he spoke, it was almost like he was singing a song.
Yeah.
You look back at those 60 speeches in America, about equal rights for blacks, basically, was the issue in those days. And that famous I Have a Dream speech, which he was assassinated shortly afterwards. Yeah. But when he says, I have a dream that one day my 4 children will be judged not by the colour of their skin, not by the colour of their skin, but by the content of their character. And now we're saying, oh, this person gets this job because they're black or they're gay or they're... And I have to say, I've heard an idea in the last week that really interests me. That if you're applying for a job, we should now make job interviews as much as we can anonymous.
Yeah, yeah.
Anonymous, literally, like interview somebody behind a screen.
Yeah.
So the employer doesn't know what colour they are, doesn't know what sexuality they are, purely employs people on their ability. And I'm old enough, unlike you guys, to remember the 80s. And there was a period in the 80s when this country became a meritocracy. Because the biggest divide in Britain that no one talks about isn't about sexual preference. It isn't about race. It's about class.
Yeah, that's what Martin Luther King says in his book, doesn't he? It's about a class system. And
you see the working classes, the great and the good in London think the working classes,
the serfs,
in towns like this in Swindon, I mean, frankly, the modern day version of the unmentionables.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's where the real division in life comes in. And so the reduction of social mobility is incredible. The rich have got richer in the last 15 years.
Yeah.
Ever since the financial crash, policies government have pursued have pushed up assets. So if you own houses or stocks and shares, the last 15 years have been fantastic. But if you don't, your ability to live a lifestyle that your parents or grandparents could live are now literally almost beyond your fingertips. And so class is the big divide.
Class is the one, yeah.
And we have to aspire to be a society where people get on according to their talents, not their backgrounds. And so let's forget this black-white stuff. Let's forget this gay-straight stuff. Let's actually try and overcome this working class, middle class, upper class stuff. And let's become a meritocracy. And let's encourage kids at school. Let's say success is good.
Yeah, yeah.
No, rich people aren't bad. They're successful.
Yeah.
Be one of them.
Yeah.
Have a go. We've got it all wrong.
We're all it's like a victimhood now, though, as well. Everyone's looking for an excuse why they're not rich or working well.
If you tell young people that they're victims, and if you get them into the mindset that they're victims, they will never achieve the best of their ability. And if you tell 8-year-old white kids they're oppressors and 8-year-old black kids they're victims, do you think that's going to give us racial equality? No. All it's going to do is give us an increasingly divided society. I find it absolutely alarming. You know, I am very, very much a libertarian. I very much want big government to butt out as much as it possibly can. I think, provided you have a system that is reasonable and fair, you know, but actually talk about a level playing field. You know, to make sure that people get on just on ability, and I saw that back in the 80s, and I was one of the privileged ones. You know, I came from a middle-class background, English public school. I had the advantages that others didn't have, but I worked during an era when people from all backgrounds could get on and succeed, and goodness me, we're miles away from that.
Like you say, kids start school and they're almost conditioned, aren't they, from the age of 4, not to ask questions, like you say, to be divisive between certain issues, and it's not right. And that equal opportunity piece, we're obviously from Cumbria, West Cumbria. You know, it takes us an hour to get anywhere.
You know, a lot more than that.
Well, over the hills, far away. But that just even that opportunity piece for people from our neck of the woods. If you wanted to get into media or anything that wasn't working at the nuclear power plant, almost, you know, within that supply chain. You've not really got a chance. We're not near Manchester. We're not near. So when we talk about equal opportunity, even just, you know, through no fault of your own geographically where you're born, you're already on the back foot. And then throwing positive discrimination. And again, you're further on the back foot because, you're a middle-class kind of...
I mean, this causes division.
It does, I think it does.
It causes division. It causes resentment. I mean, look, you know, you're right. I mean, I was up in Whitehaven recently with you, John, and you know, you are very remote up there.
Yeah.
And probably a lot of young, upwardly mobile people have to move. But there's nothing wrong with that. No. You know, often moving is not a bad thing. It can be very enlightening, and it's funny, isn't it? People who do move away when they're young and do well always come back. Yeah. Well, it's home's home, isn't it? Because it's home and it's where they're from, and nothing wrong with that. But I mean, I'd love to see places like Whitehaven be a bit more successful. Yeah.
There's no reason Whitehaven. It's in the Lake District. It's just that little bit out. And
you've got
Harbour's Brown.
You've got just a couple of miles north of you an amazing asset, a potential coal mine that mines something called anthracite. Now, anthracite is the lowest carbon burning coal of the lot, unlike lignite, which the Germans mine and burn in power stations like you. And you can't make steel without anthracite. So what we do as a country is import anthracite, whereas actually in that part of Cumbria, you open that mine, produce what we need to make steel. We've got to burn the blooming stuff anyway, whether you like it or not. And you'd have engineers, people training, well-paid jobs. Can you imagine for your area what something like that would mean? But we're not doing it.
Well, if you bring it in, like the fumes off them tankers, bringing it in will be worse than having your own, and you burn it anyways, aren't you? It just makes sense. But...
Do you know what? I mean, I'm an environmentalist, but not a loony green.
Yeah.
But one area that needs tidying up are the emissions from ships.
Yeah.
If I look at the English Channel coming from Kent on a calm day, this yellow line of sulphur running through it, that's one thing that we do need to clean up, you know?
Right. Maybe dinghies. Well, that's sorted out.
Don't even start me on that.
It's not a better option now.
Listen,
that's Nigel's. He's been
well, but I mean, I was going out in the summer of 2020 on my own.
Yeah.
in small boats filming what was going on. I was a dinghy going the other way. But I honestly raised this as a national issue.
Yeah.
And now it's like front and centre of what Mr. Sunak says he might do as the next PM.
Where did Rwanda come from? That's such a random country, isn't it? Like, you sort of get in England and we're going to send you to Rwanda. Like, what? Could they not just send them back? Like, a lot of them are Albanian men, aren't they? Or like 80%.
That was the case. It's not anymore.
Right.
We've sent a few. We have sent a few thousand back to Albania.
Right. Right.
Although we did give 50% of Albanians rights of refugee status. Germany gave 0.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Albania, hang on, it's a NATO-aligned, EU-aligned member. I mean, the whole thing's bonkers. And what we do know is that a massive increase of London crime, but not just London. A lot of the county lines drugs gangs have had their lives ruined by the Albanians because they've taken over.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, a lot of serious criminals coming in from that country. So that's improved. I mean, the thought, I mean, guys, think about this. That since 2018, when this started as a trickle, you know, well over 100,000 young men of fighting age, undocumented, have come into Britain. I believe this to be a national security issue. And I've actually I've got a video that I took on the 12-mile line of people throwing their iPhones into the channel. iPhone, passport, into the channel, at the 12-mile line. They phoned the British authorities to say where they are, so they can't be traced.
Right, right.
They can't be traced. We don't know who they are. We can't trace their criminal records. What we can already say is that a number of those that have come through that route that have committed heinous crimes is worrying. Now, because you say these things and you're in danger of being condemned for being racist, etc., but it's not. This is a national security issue. And this is the thing that I'm good at. I'm quite good at picking up issues and making them national stories. I did it with that. I did it with debanking.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, and I was debanked last July. I mean, it was a national media sensation for week after week after week. But it highlighted, you know, a real problem that is going on. And so it's funny. People say to me, "What are you? Are you a politician? Are you a TV presenter? Are you a radio?" I'm just a campaigner.
Yeah.
I'm a campaigner. I try to get things changed through campaigns. And, you know, without being too big-headed, I think my record's better than most.
Yeah, 100%. Can I ask, Nigel? Yeah, I mean, in the past, you've also said about the infrastructure and everything else and, you know, or lack of infrastructure to accommodate people like this. But
yeah,
I don't know, I've seen some theories, and you might agree with this, and it was me kind of smirking and laughing about it. But I've heard of these, have you heard of the people talking about this UN army, and they're bringing all these middle-aged people over as a kind of, like you say, a national security threat, because almost it's a UN apparently doing it.
Well, I'd be a little bit careful about some of that stuff.
Yeah, yeah. There can't be any truth in anything.
I think most things in life are more cock-up than conspiracy.
Yeah.
You know, to be absolutely honest with you, I think that's the case. But I think that I mean, look, the world is now closer to global conflict than it's been at any point since 1945, whether we look at the events in Israel, Gaza, the events in Ukraine, the clear territorial ambition that the Chinese have got. We look at that. We look at divisions within society, particularly America, where the left and the right are now so intolerant of each other that goodness knows what sparks may come from that in the years to come. So, you know, we're in a bad place. And the West is in a bad place. There is a massive transfer of influence, power and money going from West to East. You know, we are in decline.
Yeah.
We are in decline. Just as the Roman Empire, which looked, you know, sort of the greatest achievement of humankind at that moment in time, declined. The Greek Empire that came for it. Empires do fall. And the West is in danger of falling. But I would argue this. Generally, empires don't fall because of external threats. They fall from within. And I fear we're falling from within. I fear we're losing our values. I fear we are, through in my view, corrupted education system, bringing up a young breed of social warriors who are deeply intolerant of anybody with. I mean, they're all called Jocasta and Benjamin. It's funny.
well, normal people have got a job, haven't they?
It's an upper middle class white rebellion that's going on.
It's like Just Stop All. They're the most racist group going. I've never seen anyone that's not white and middle class in that group, are there?
Not white and doesn't live in Surrey, you know. It's unbelievable. But we're allowing these people to dominate much of our national debate. And as I say, this is how empires fall. They fall because of the rotten culture that's allowed to exist from within. And I still, you know, it's funny because I do travel around the country a lot. And I do actually think that Gen Z, this younger group of 15 to 25-year-olds, I see a lot of hope.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, the millennials are gone. I mean, I've written them off. But no, I see a lot of young people actually not buying this spoon-fed, you know, frankly, indoctrination that they've been receiving all the way through. You know, I mean, you know, when you think about it, if you were any age now, say that I'm suffering from depression, you will get extra social security benefits of £389 a month with no compulsion to ever have to look for a job. Think about that.
Yeah.
No compulsion to. So you at 25 can voluntarily throw yourself on the unemployment scrap heap. Well, not unemployment, benefit scrap heap. Never have to look for a job. I mean, what does that do to you as a human being?
Yeah.
What does being a victim, being classed as a victim, believing you're a victim, what is that doing for, I mean, talk about mental health, it makes it blooming worse. And it's a hard one, this, because people think I'm a hard-nosed bastard, but frankly, people are going onto the sick register who are dealing with the normal traumas of life.
Yeah.
Our lives all have trauma. You know, we have accidents. Friends of ours get killed in car crashes. Rotten stuff happens. It's called life.
But we've been conditioned, like we said again, for any little issue, or when life doesn't go how you want it, you haven't got the tools to kind of handle that. But also
what it does, it demeans those who genuinely have serious mental health issues, of which, of course, there are plenty. I mean, you know, there've always been plenty of people, you know, that genuinely do and need real help. Normal things that I call life are now being classed as mental health issues. And frankly, you know what, folks? We can't afford it.
No.
We literally can't afford it. We can't afford to have millions of people working age that those of us that work and pay ever higher taxes are having to pay for. There has to be a reckoning. There has to be a reasoning. Now, you know, I remember the 70s when we had huge problems. You know, inflation nearing 30%, a 3-day week. The lights used to go out at night. You couldn't do your homework. But I mean, Britain in the 70s had huge problems, but we did turn it around.
Yeah.
So I don't think what's happening to us is, I see the West in decline, but it doesn't have to be terminal. You know, we have it within ourselves if we have courage and resolve to turn this around. But my boy, goodness me, we're going to need that courage.
Well, I think this next election, I think Keir Starmer will walk it.
Oh, yeah.
No matter what, like, you could see, like, Jimmy Savile, still think he's going to win it, isn't he? You know what I mean? I think it's in the bag.
John, steady on.
And then what happens if Rishi gets kicked out? Is there a chance you could take over the Tories? Because that's the rumours on the grapevine, isn't it?
I mean, you know, there is a big debate about this that goes on. If it's endless, I mean, you know, I'm surrounded by speculation whatever I do. There is little doubt. The reason we have right and left in politics is because there are right-sided brain people and left-sided brain people. And right-sided brain people are pragmatic, down-to-earth, maybe a bit hard-nosed, and left-sided people are soppy, soft and sentimental, but lovely human beings, darling. And, you know, but no, but I mean, literally, that's what left and right is. Yeah. It's which side of your brain is the dominant side. And the left side of the brain is now massively overrepresented in politics, in media and elsewhere. And those of us that are more the pragmatists, I believe I'm a pragmatist, and prepared to talk straight and maybe talk tough, have become a small, condemned minority. But we're not out there in the country.
No.
You know, I mean, I still believe there's a majority in the country who believe in the basic Christian values that underpin everything from the Ten Commandments that have built the civilization that we have. A majority that believe the family is a desirable unit, and I've been divorced and I'm not perfect, but actually the family is a good environment in which to bring up kids and to do things that those that break the law like shoplifting should be punished. I mean, what's this all about?
Yeah.
You could nick up just £100 worth of dog. I mean, what's going on?
Is it San Francisco? They almost
$950. So if you just go in and grab stuff,
a grand's worth. Yeah. I don't know. If you put that back, you'll be all right.
I might do a romantic getaway for the weekend.
So it's nuts. So the centre-right of British politics has to reform, and will I be a part of that over the next 5 years? Well, God willing, health providing, I will be. Exactly what form? I mean, I'm the honorary president of Reform. I'm not actively involved. There's a big question as to what I'm going to do this year or do in the future. I will be back involved at some point in reshaping all of this. Could I become leader of the Conservative Party in the next couple of years, 3 years? It's possible.
Right.
It's possible. I don't know, but it's possible. Because actually, what I've learned about the so-called Conservatives in Britain is the numbers over the years that agree with me in private.
Yeah.
Oh, we think, absolutely right, old boy, Johnny, go, well done. So, well, I turn around, where are you? Oh, it's all very awkward. No one's got any guts.
No.
So, John, I will be involved in politics again at some point in the future. As and when it's going to be, I don't yet know. But yeah, I mean, at some point I'll be there.
No. Well, that's a good spot then because we've got to go on a thing. But Nigel, cheers for coming on.
Thank you, boys.
Thanks a lot. Cheers.